Right, day 2 of the new month, and it is a Thursday, and we are watching the Kokoliriko show on Western TV with me, Federick Dramadri, and remember today is the second day of November 2023, and remember we are left with just a few days to clock this year to maybe to end the year. What is it that you have achieved, or what is it that you are still trying to do in order to cope up with the remaining days? And remember, you can still do something for your family, for yourself, for the entire nation, ready to transform it. And anything you do within an hour can have a long-lasting impact, and that's where we are coming from. And there are so many issues, stories, and so on that happened from the time of yesterday up to today. And remember, today is a very big day that we are really going to talk about, and that is the International Day to end crimes against the journalists, and that is where we want to really also come and talk about many of the issues that are happening in the country, but also those that are happening across the world. There are so many, and remember, the Israel-Palestinian war is still continuing. Many leaders and other state heads are still condemning the actions that are happening there in Gaza. And remember, after the attack, there was an attack on the refugee camps, and these are some of the things that are coming up here. And remember, yesterday was a very great day in the Christianity, but also the whole world was launching the fight against the violence that are perpetrated against the children. And remember, ending violence against children is one key thing that many people would think needed to be done in the soonest, because these children grow actually to be the elders or the adults who are supposed to grow the nations. And yesterday at church and Western Diocese, there were a lot of sharings about this day. And yesterday, Marian Western Diocese launched it official, and this will run up to the 29th of November 2023. And in this, so many activities were prioritized, but the biggest message came from the bishop, that is Right Reverend Charles Collins Andako, who actually warned citizens and communities, societies, individuals against provocations. And he actually said we should not provoke the children, but sure that we free every child from violence. And that's one key important message that everyone has to take seriously in order to do really create awareness against these vices, or against the children, that many children have been suffering in the hands of even empowered persons, other than really those that we may say ignorant and illiterate persons. And this is where we really are coming from. Looking at the technological era, we have so many things that take up the parents, that occupy them busy somewhere, and children are left at homes. And this is where really we need to strike a balance to see that we have something done for the children at home, and also have time with them. Maybe once in a while, in a weekend, you have to sit the whole day with them and understand how your children are behaving, and also what is it that you need to do in order to bring them very well. And remember, there are so many other issues that are happening across Uganda. I remember who actually was filmed by one of the passengers trying to text and shown while he was driving, was actually arrested and suspended. And this is one key issue that we have seen several times contributing to the accident cases on the roads and so on, where you tend to concentrate on other things other than really securing the lives of the people you are moving with and so on. That is one story that is rocking the. And that's one way actually police is saying they are going to expedite on vigilance, and also look at how people are using the roads. And this is one thing we need to really focus on. As pedestrians, as passengers, we need to also be vigilant about our security, our safety, and so on, many other things. And away from that, there is now one big story that is coming now, and also maybe you can be touched by one of these, and that is is the rollout of the electronic number plates, the digital. And for you to acquire this number plate, you have to pay 715 million, actually 15,000 Ugandan shillings. That is for you to acquire a new one. But for you to replace the lost one, or maybe when it has maybe gotten damaged and so on, you will have to pay 150,000 Ugandan shillings. So that is for vehicles. But also those who are using motorcycles, you are going to pay 50,000 Ugandan. Let's come to the topic of discussion for today. I have guests from different areas, and we'll be really discussing a lot of things to do with what I actually introduced, the International Day to end impunity of crimes against the journalists. And I have with me here Musa Sabir, who is one of the most celebrated journalists in this country. He has won the 2022 and also participated in so many other capacity buildings and many other things. He has been ventured so much into investigative journalism and also peace journalism, and that is him. And maybe Musa, you're most welcome to Westnell TV studios.
Well, I'm very happy to be back here in the studio. This is the second time. I think after 2 years,
yes,
I'm so happy to be in the studios of Westnell TV.
Okay.
Particularly this time when we are talking about journalists and also affecting the community, because once a journalist is affected in such issues, it is the community that also suffers most.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that is Musa Shabir. He is one person who is working with radio parties that is here in a rural city. And with me, I also have the veteran community liaison officer, and he's still serving, but also he has been really pertinent in issues to do with dialogue, the public or the community, and many other people who may come in conflict with the laws in this country, and that is none other than Matua. Matua, you're most welcome. Maybe if you can introduce us yourself with the full names, because sometimes I always forget the other name, so you can chip in from there. Yes, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Frederick, my brother Sabir. I'm Inspector of Police, Matua Alfred, of the Division of Community Liaison Officer, Arua Central Division.
Okay, that is him, and we are really going to really dissect on these issues to do with journalists, and how is the working relationship between the police or maybe the state-owned agencies. We will talk about police, the security generally, that is army, police, and so on, many others that you may mention. Is the working relationship between the journalists and the security organs that we have in this country. Before we go to that, I remember in August, or actually in September this year, there was a report that was released by the Northern Uganda Media Club, but also this was jointly followed by a report that was also released by African Center for Media Excellency, that actually put Uganda Police as one of the top, or the top on the list about the that really tops the list in terms of the crimes that are committed against journalists. This ranges from arrests, detentions, and maybe damage or inconvenience in the journalists themselves, also threatening violence and so on, many of these. And this is followed by politicians and so on, many others that are already there. But let's come back and understand that which is behind all these kind of things. Maybe Musa, let me start with you. What is the relationship between the security forces and the journalists in terms of their working situations? Because we all understand that these are all frontliners in an event that there's something going wrong in the public, and the first people you will always see are the journalists or the police who are in the front line. Maybe how do you people work in this kind of environment to see that you all focus on one thing other than going become enemies, yet you are responding to a different situation? Yes, you can pick on from there.
Well, thank you. One thing I can put very clearly is that every institution has boundary of work. For journalists has a limit, and also police has limit. Let me just move around that area. If a case happens today, which of course journalists will be interested, and then police will also be interested, they are mandated to come in and also prevent the crime, also quickly respond to this crime. Now for journalists, they come also as the media to publicize this issue. In the process also, they actually educate, they sensitize, and then do all other things through the work they do. Now the problems many times comes when, based on observation I've seen, the problem comes when the journalist, for example, takes a photo with a police officer, a photo which also speaks, because when you tell in your story, or when you write in a story that police arrest so and so, for example, let's say, for example, the common case of maybe Nup politicians, for example, you cannot just say police arrests so and so when police is not even in the photo. It can be a good story, but with the police will also be the perfect thing. Now this is where sometimes they over on the police, on the journalists, yeah. But for West Nile, I can say West Nile, I think it's a little fair compared to many other parts I've been to Central Region. The case there is far different. I can say West Nile, I think the case here is fair. There are some particular cases, mainly in the terms of elections.
Elections, yes.
In the terms of election, there's no much difference from Arua or Karamoja, or there's no much difference. Sometimes I ask myself, I'm a friend to many of these police officers, I even ask them sometimes, what is the problem? After that time, we are good friends. But when it reaches that moment, they can't even tell you. Now, after that time, after the whole scene is done, they can even come and apologize to you.
And now, after beating you, seriously?
That is after beating you, yeah. That is after beating you. Now, the issue is, I think I can just say, these police officers, the ones we're dealing with, they have no issue. You remember the statement to the journalist, we shall beat you to protect you. These are officers who are supposed to protect. Now, if such an officer talks such words, where do you expect, for example, me, I've been maybe beaten in the line of duty, now I report this same issue to CPS. Just imagine the case, how it will be, how it will die actually, let me just put it openly. So the problem sometimes is these officers themselves. The top, because these ones, there's that bureaucracy line, you cannot, they have that line also. These officers we are friends with, maybe you will understand, oh, these are that cannot understand, but when the top makes, a commander makes a directive, there's no way these other ones are going to respect it. I find the can even confirm to me, I know not on camera, but can confirm to me that
when you are hiding
that chain of command, you cannot it. I know police, okay, generally security line as one of the areas with high respect. When a commander says something, this you cannot go against. When they say we're going to beat journalists, they're going to beat journalists. And of course, they're going to be protected. Maybe on the camera, they can just say, we're taking our friend so and so because he has beaten maybe a journalist from Western TV. Because, I mean, that's the statement outside on the camera. But you can't even tell what is happening in the back room. So that is one of the things.
They are the same people who are arresting themselves. Sure, it makes it difficult for the journalists to understand whether they have truly arrested the officer.
That is actually the same thing now.
Yes.
So that is the problem. It is an issue of command. The top makes that command, then others can just respect. They cannot just go against. So that is the major problem. Even the president some time back talked about the similar thing. So you cannot, but the truth is, journalists, they are doing their job also as demanded. The public is actually demanding journalists a lot
to actually do more.
Because this one of Uganda Article 41 gives permission, the access to information for every citizen, apart from the information that is going to affect the security of the state. But many of these cases, I don't see any information that is maybe going against the security. But that is where many people don't also respect the constitution, they don't respect of journalists, and yet, on the other hand, when it comes to positive sides, which they many times talk about, they appreciate it. That's the big area also I want to talk about.
Okay. Right, that is Musa Shabir from Radio Parties, and he has been one instrumental journalist who has covered so many elections in Uganda and also many other big events that you may talk about. But also, let me just move forth and from some of the key points that he has highlighted. The issues to do with interference with the work of a journalist, and you realize that many times this comes at a point where maybe every party, maybe the police and journalists have an interest, and this could be a serious matter that is happening in the community, and you realize that sometimes the other feels if this, it may have a bad image, okay, on either of us, and that is where sometimes delay tactics is played, or maybe access to the information is denied in a logical manner. Sometimes police says, okay, keep here, we are still trying to get some details, we are going to give you the information, or first go away, we are still doing something, because you are going to interfere with the evidence. Many times those statements come, and up to evening, the news hour is coming and shown, there's nothing coming, and sometimes things just die like that. But let's first take a break. I'll be able to usher in the police officer here, who is actually sitting in for the police public relations officer, who has been taken up by some event somewhere, and we hope to bring her next time. But representative enough. Let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The passion you've been waiting for! It's Eunice Junior Santamo! It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it! What a finish for Mr. Fukume! The Brazilian Samba Portuguese Magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL, our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Okay, you are still watching the Kokoliriko show on West Nile TV. With me here, Federick, Dramadri, and some of my guests that I have here. We are deliberating on the efforts to end impunity for crimes against journalists, and that is where we are coming from. We have one journalist with us here, and also a police officer, because why I've actually these two parties is because if you look at the recent report that was released by the joint media organizations, that is African Center for Media Excellency and Northern Uganda Media Club, they all indicate that actually police is the biggest perpetrator of the violences against journalists. And that's where we are coming from. What is it that is happening that these two parties are not agreeing in terms of doing their work, though they are doing work to but at some point you will realize that many philosophers have described journalists as investigators, and police is doing also investigative work, and this is where really we expected the two teams to have worked together and really come up with a concrete idea, and that's where we are coming from. For those of you who are following us on YouTube, you can really go to your text box to comment there. Share with us what the situation is like in any part of this country or across the world, and also share with us really where you're watching us from, and that's very, very critical. We'll be able to project all your comments here live, and the guests will be able to respond to them. Let me come to the community liaisons officer, that is Arua Central Division, Matua Alfred. Let's move to the police side. What is it that you have really experienced or seen that is not really making both of you, I mean journalists and police, not work together in maybe on the same event? What is it that is really making it a challenging point to really inflict wound on one of the other? Yes, you can pick it from there.
Thank you, moderator. The views I'm going to present here are what my general knowledge about the relationship between journalists and police, how they do their work. I'm not presenting the whole view of the, because I'm not the public relations officer.
Okay.
Uganda Police Force appreciates the fact that if we are to maintain or foster partnership with the community, you know, we have embraced community policing as a strategic pillar for crime prevention. If we are to maintain that partnership with the community, we need the journalists, we need the media, we need the journalists we always work with to do our work. We are guided by the police standing orders when we are dealing with the press. That is one thing journalists should appreciate.
What does it say? Maybe
the police standing order says some information which we are to present to the media should pass through the PRO, the Public Relations Office. Not every person will talk about everything happening in the police force. There are things for the Public Relations Officer to present to the media, and there are things which a unit commander or a police officer who is responsible for an area to talk to the press. When we are giving information to the journalists, we always try to avoid speculation, and we are aware that we need the media. We need the media to help us in the crime prevention. For example, if we give information, it at times shortens for us the time we use for investigation. For example, if we are looking for some wanted criminals and that information is given to the media, the public will capture that information quickly and will increase their vigilance to give us information about those wanted criminals. Thereby, we shall be shortening the time we use in looking for those people. So, the challenge we have at times with the average journalist will have always limited appreciation of these police procedures when they are giving information to the press. They will go and source information from anybody, not using the right procedures to get information. That's why you find these issues of refusal to give information to the press. They don't refuse, but you find a person who is not supposed to give information to the press. So the average journalist may not understand that. We just go and report that they refuse to give information. When an information a matter is under investigation, the police will always be, they want to be very careful. We want to be very helpful, we want to be professional, and we want to explain certain things to the journalists so that they present the right. So they may tend to delay the information, but the aspect of not wanting to give the information is not there, because we are always aware that when we give information, they are really helping us to do certain things right. About beatings, police are always aware about human rights violations. All our work is to be done in line with the provisions of the human rights. We respect human dignity. In a few cases, you may find journalists have altercations with some police officers. That does not present the general view that that is the manner police does, or police relates with the journalists. Beating is unlawful, and the police does not follow wrong superior orders. They are guided that when an order is given wrongly, that order they tend to correct it. So I want to put in the briefings before police officers go for operations. There are no briefings that go and capture cameras of journalists, go and beat journalists, or go and beat people. Those are regarded as wrong orders, and we don't condone any discipline by a police officer where a police officer has gone to the field and has beaten people, has treated journalists badly. We always take action against impunity where things are done the wrong way. We have a strict SOP to deal with the media, and we want to adhere to that. We ask the journalists, we want to tell the journalists wherever they are that we value their work, and we are much aware that their work helps us to do certain things right, shorten the time of investigations, keep the community alert, and we want to maintain good working relations with them always in doing our work. Thank you.
Okay, we will really move faster with this, and very, very much interested into some of those talks. They are very, very welcoming and so on, trying to motivate many people, because if you look at cementing this relationship, it is a very good thing, because we are here to stay as media, the fourth estate, but also police being one of the instruments, arms of government that arms of government that is mandated to really ensure law and order is really strictly followed. They are very, very important also in the community. So how do we really bridge that gap? That is where we are really discussing some of these issues. I will cite some examples. In January this year, we recorded so many, actually not January, but December, there were issues to do with the violations of the rights of the of accessing information, but also sometimes interference with their work. We will cite when the medical interns in Kampala were actually striking. You saw the video that was circulating on social media about one journalist that was sprayed with pepper, okay, the red pepper, or maybe they say tear gas and so on, where really many blackouts were circulating all over, and coverage for police officers, especially journalists moving, or media houses sending journalists to go and cover police events, was put to hold just because of these kind of things. Maybe I'll go back to Matua, to you. Why do you think sometimes some of these things happen? Because all of us are focusing on the strike. Who are these people striking and so on? But there was a conflict between police and the journalists at that point. There was not like the journalists wanted an information from police, and they just found themselves in the field. This person was holding a camera trying to really cover the protesters, and police was seriously trying to arrest those key or ringleaders of the protests. So how come that at some point you realize that all in vain. A police officer turns to really start maybe tear gassing the journalists or maybe beating some of them. What actually triggers some of these kind of things? Maybe you can pick it from there.
Yeah, the private interaction between the particular police officer and the journalist is at times what triggers certain reactions. Generally, when, for example, the example you gave about demonstrations and what have you, what will police achieve when journalists are there covering this kind of events? For example, not all people involving themselves in demonstrations. Now, when a demonstration is taking place somewhere and it is seen live on the media and what have you, some people tend to avoid going to those places where there is a demonstration. That is the beauty of it, that media is there to cover some of these things which are happening. Some people will tend to stay at home because they don't want to go to a situation where they are going to be irritated or made wet with water and whatever, those kind of things. So, in such situations where there is a lot of activity going on, say in a demonstration, journalists normally tend not to get the right person to get information from. I told you that the report of things should be accurate. We need the accurate information to be given to the people, and we don't need to give information that is going to be damaging both to security, to the institution itself. We will always see, as activities are going vividly on the ground, say during a demonstration, I think most of the responses, police officers, the journalists, is that they should be a bit patient, and the rightful information they will be given with facts, with details, because we are about giving details of what causes the problem, so what happened, and what is to be done in case we needed to avoid that kind of things. So, when a journalist, a particular journalist, is interacting with a police officer, say in the field, police officers tend to differently. Some of them act professionally, some of them may not act professionally. In case a police officer does not act professionally, even in a situation where there is demonstration, there is chaos and what have you, we don't just look at it, because when we are going there, we give clear briefing to them. We emphasize that when they're in the field, they are going to abide by orders from commanders, which orders should be correct orders, lawful orders, not wrong orders. They are going to take only lawful orders from officers, and then they are going to do certain things per order. It is not right for anybody to start maybe throwing the tear gas, spraying somebody with pepper and what have you. Even spraying the pepper alone has an SOP for doing it. You don't just spray pepper on anybody because it is too irritating. So individual police officers will now, out of indiscipline, they go to the extreme to spray the pepper directly into somebody's face.
Because the opportunity is limited, because many times you are walking with the thing and there's no opportunity to spray.
As I said earlier, individual reactions from the interaction or the person talking to the police officer is what triggers that. Somebody will now get irritated with something which they have been interacting on, and then overreacts. That is called overreaction. Overreacts. In a circumstance that somebody has overreacted, we don't, during our debriefing, we share those kind of things, and where there is need to reprimand such a police officer or take appropriate action, that is always done. We don't leave it unattended, because in the field with men to perform a certain duty will want to come back without any complaint. Where somebody has overreacted, has gone overboard, the commander must account And what is the accountability? The accountability is that you have either reprimanded this police officer or you have taken appropriate action to address the issue so that further occurrence of that kind of action should not be done.
Okay. Right, that is it. There are so many cases that I will cite for Western region, and you will talk about the recent arrest of the Vision Group reporter, that is John Paul Opio. That happened actually in July this year, and this guy was actually covering a story to do with a demonstration where students from Munientisi actually were on protesting about their money is not coming and so on, but eventually the reporters was actually just picked with his camera and so on. Those were some of the recent cases that we have in Western region. And if you look at the UNESCO reports that were documented between 2016 and 2022, it actually clearly indicates that 749 cases of violence against journalists were actually reported, and thefts were actually seen from 70 countries. And this is one thing which is really very devastating. Remember the recent, just a few days ago, one journalist was killed from Al Jazeera, was actually killed in one of the protests, and this is one thing that is happening across the world. But Musa, let me come back to you and understand, is it that we have, maybe as media practitioners, the journalists themselves, tapped wrong in terms of our contact in the field? Because many times when protests are there, journalists feel like they can pick or take every picture that is there. And at some point you realize that security organs feel like I needed not to feel okay in your photo and so on. Who is there to be spelled out? Who is there to be actually captured? Maybe you can pick it from there.
Now I want to refer to Uganda Police Force Act, which stipulates clearly the mandates of police. Just as Afande said, the mandates are very clear: to protect the property, the life, to prevent crime, and also many other roles they're clearly doing. Now, relating this to media work, you cited protest, yeah? Protests to many journalists make news, and that is public interest. For journalists, one key thing, if you have been to journalism classes, your life is even more important than the story you're doing, yeah? So you need to keep your limits. That is to a journalist. One, you need to identify yourself. The journalists, they don't identify themselves, though sometimes police just, even when someone has camera, they can still react, but
okay, maybe I will chip in there. For instance, the recent case of the Vision Group journalist, this guy was actually putting on his ID and was also holding a camera. How different could he identify himself when you are also seeing his camera? And this was actually happening at the Vision Group offices. That is the row one, just next after. Maybe next to Tropical Suits that we will talk about. And this was just near the media house. Do you think this journalist needed to actually even say it more when he was picked and he was shouting that I'm a journalist and I work for Row 1? And this is one thing. How would he identify himself different? Yes.
Well, that is why the police go wrong. But the one thing as a journalist you need to do is to identify yourself. For him, he identified himself, but police still moved away from that line, knowing that this is the journalist Opio John Paul. I believe that these police officers who arrested him or picked him knew that this is Opio John Paul over Rowan FM with a brand. That's what I knew very well. But still, that does not stop, like in other cases, does not stop you being able to identify yourself to the police officer for your own safety. Such that maybe when it comes to an issue, you have somewhere to back you up. Like, I'm picked right now, I have a branded T-shirt, and then I'm known as a journalist. You still continue to arrest me or beat me When I reach the police, maybe making a statement, I can still prove that this is how I am. Let me give you one case. This is not directed, not police. We followed in Barifa Forest when youth were protesting. One guy came and grabbed me because I was taking a photo. That was 2 years ago.
Yes.
Grabbed the camera, picked me up, and then all those things. I was branded. So that thing I know was enough. It was defense for me actually, where he faced what he demanded. Was known as a journalist. For them, they're in a different group, and our group later came up and took the issue to the media house, and it moved like that. So being identified in the press jacket was actually one key that I said, okay, this guy I think has a personal issue. And the same thing can be put in other lines, like when protest is happening, of course, expect police to come here because it's their mandate to come and protect the property of other people who are not even involved, and also to protect the life, and also expect journalists to come there in the same line. So as a journalist, identify yourself. Also observe if you're okay there. Surely take note of your life, because even journalism class, they say no story is worth your life. So take question. Am I going to be safe here? This is one of the big questions you need to do. So you need to be in the safer side, yeah? About the recordings that I found they talked about, taking the photos or orders, I think it is good to be in your line also, as I said in the start of this show. You need to be in your line. Their story surely needs police to be there. Police sometimes, we have come across this many times. We're still doing investigation, we cannot give information this time. So what is wrong with that? As a journalist, you have all your facts. You have gone down to the community, you have done interviews, and maybe you went undercover, for example, like you do investigating. You have all the facts, you have the documents, you have the recordings, you have everything. What you want is just police
to comment.
This is how far we have gone.
Not even to prove, but
not to
comment.
Prove. For them, they have that link. They're also doing their role mandated for them to do. They're doing the investigation. You as independent journalist, you also doing your investigation. What you want as a journalist is just to get comment from police. But you cannot go to maybe a junior officer to ask a question. Like as he said, you cannot go to police officer who is not mandated to speak. And this even happens to when you go to this local government. There's line that they follow. For example, go to a road district local government, you cannot speak to maybe district engineer without the authority given by the cow. So it's the same thing. You go to Afande Mangochia, who is the PRO, is the right person to speak. So maybe others you can interact with them just to understand the same issue, but the given in the police force is from the public relations officer. So some of these things I think we also need to respect as journalists, and that's where sometimes you go wrong. There's a right for privacy in journalism. When I'm doing a story, I cannot go to Afande Matua's home. I cannot go undercover and do everything which is in his right, in his privacy. It's not actually allowed in journalism, unless it is something work, unless it's something related to his work, which is for the public, you cannot go there. But if it is just his personal life and other things, it is even not in line. There you can even have issue. Now we have one big problem also with the tools that we use. You remember the recently discussed in the parliament, these ones using the phones, information now. This law which is recently. Yes. That's why I see we're moving wrong. We just need to keep in our lines. Police has to respect journalists. Journalists has to respect police. And this respect does not just come because it's big, it has to come in the line of work. I need information, go to PRO. Or you can talk to other officers, but official communication should come from PRO, unless the PRO delegates, for example, our funding now is here in the line of PRO. We have the regional RPC, RPC also has that mandate to speak. Like he said, police, the station officers, DPCs, they can give information as long as it's in their line. So I think we need to respect each other in that. Then police must also, I repeat, must respect journalists, especially in the field when they're together. I remember you experienced when you went to cover something some few years ago.
Yeah.
The DPC was even out of uniform, first of all. You went there, just taking a photo was a big problem.
Yeah.
And those are things that needs to be drawn there, because we all need each other. If we don't respect the work I do, and I don't respect the work you do, remember at the end of the day, we all serve in the same country. I mean, we're serving the same community. Community liaison officer work cannot go without media. Just like PROs and these other organizations, information sectors, they cannot work without media. So we need to respect each other's roles.
Okay, we are celebrating or commemorating or remembering or reflecting on the issues that are really coming against the journalists. Talk about issues that really affect their work, and there is a lot that we need still to talk about, but we'll buy another 30 minutes and digest on this, so that we're able to detailed understand and also see how we can bridge that relationship between the journalists and the police generally, the security forces, that will really make sure that we're able to achieve a development here in this region, in this country, also across the world. And this year we are actually celebrating this under the theme journalism, ending violence against journalists, and also the integrity of elections, the role of the officers. Okay, that is one thing we need to really look at seriously. But when we come back, we'll really actually go and understand what actually happens around election time, and also at the time of these scaffolds that maybe protests and so on and so on. How should we really actually correlate in those moments, and also looking at the lasting solution? How do we actually come together to ensure that we achieve the same purpose? All these are investigators and different places. Police need journalists to where they are not reaching, because many times Afande Anguchia used to tell me that she listens to all the news in West Nile because she wants to know what is happening where. And that helps them to actually respond to some of the cases. That's why sometimes if you don't see police acting on the day of the action, you realize that there are some people who are sent to do follow-up. And that is because media what is actually happening. And it makes their work very easier for them to follow. They know now who to approach in order to really continue with the investigations. And let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll really actually go to those analyses later on. Thank you.
TV, lighting up the region.
The passion you've been waiting for! It's Yunus Junior Santamo! It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it.
What a finish from Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Right, you are welcome from the break. Actually, we are discussing these issues to do with the journalists and also the police relationship, talking about the efforts to end impunity of the crimes and actually against the journalists. There are so many people who are actually waiting to see what is actually happening, and where we are heading to is now the critical area to do with elections. And remember, when campaigns always, you see many times police trying to behave as if they are partisan, they are serving one party and so on, and that has been said by so many people looking at opposition people of parties and also the journalists themselves. Sometimes there was a time when police officer actually said all these journalists are opposition and those are things that always come because of the stories we do. When there are conflicts between political parties, we tend to come in and really try to bring out those stories, and those mostly go all reported. And that is why that officer was actually trying to tell me that whenever there's something small against an opposition candidate, the media tend to escalate it very fast and it goes very broad, and that is where he was trying to bring that comments from. Maybe Matwa, let's come to you and see what is it when maybe a roadmap is released. You realize that many times police try to change their method of work in terms of their reactions, in terms of maybe all that it takes in order to really make sure that they achieve their targets. And yet this appears to be something that is coercive or has to own some of the people in as far as the issues to do with human rights are concerned and so on. Maybe let's pick it from there. What is it that is always making police change their moods at election time, but when after elections you see them also joking with people throughout and so on? Yes.
Thank you. I want to correct something here that when it comes to election, police change their mood. Police is always jolly, they're always courteous, professional in doing the work. Now you realize that when it is election time, not only police, everybody will get excited. People are supporting their parties, people are doing different things, and what do you do? Police will be there to see to it that every activity, regardless of which party is doing it, goes well. Now that is where police will always want to, policing a large gathering during an election is a challenging thing. We want to endeavor as much as they can to see to it that every person who has gone to attend a rally must go back home safely. They must not be looted of their property like phones and what have you. That's where they will always want to work together with the heads of the political parties to give them the roadmap how they are going to do their activity. In most cases, some political parties, either because of whichever reason, they will feel that the police want to curtail on their right to do certain things in the manner they want to do it. These activities are to be done. The roadmap for electoral processes or for campaigns are always there, and we also have SOPs we use for those kind of gatherings during electoral processes. So we are not a one-party police. We are called Uganda Police Force. We are for everybody. When we are policing elections, we police it bearing in mind that that is a democratic process, and you never know. In policing, anything, in politics, anything can happen. The person against can be your head of state or your member of parliament or your leader in whichever capacity. So you will still need to work with that person. So we are always careful, we are always cautious, we are always professional in doing those kind of things, except that people at times get overexcited, anxious about the processes, and they do many things where police will be advising that this should be done this way. They tend not to listen. That leads to some of those measures police will put in place. For example, if police knows that a procession during an election is going to pass near a hospital and it will cause a lot of noise with speakers, with people shouting to patients in the hospital, they will cause a diversion. According to the law, they can make a diversion. They will advise that for reasons of safety for those who are in the hospital during that time when you are doing your campaign, you should use a particular route. Most people will think that is a denial for them to do certain things, but police will be doing it. They needed something to be done rightly, where everybody is a beneficiary. That during political processes, many people tend not to do. You can even see for yourself. Enforcing traffic law during a political campaign becomes a challenge. How people go on the track to go for political campaigns. But is that the way they are supposed to do it? We should be doing things orderly ourselves. If a political campaign would be following the roadmap and the what they should do rightly, the police directives are followed, and then there would not be much need that police is going to be directing you, pass here, move there, and you do this. But police is an impartial institution. We are not only police for any particular party, and we are Uganda Police Force, which will provide security, guidance, and sensitization to every Ugandan to see to that we do things within the law.
Okay, that is it. Let me come to the journalists I have in the room. That is Musa Shabir. Musa, let me come to you. What is it that journalists actually do during these kind of moments, like of campaigns and so on? They feel like every story needed to be published in a shortest minute and so on. That actually comes to in some circumstances that brings them into conflict. Why is it that this really happens like that? Is it something that is urgently needed? Is it something that is motivated from the newsrooms, or this is also we taking it from a personal journalist, or maybe from somebody's desire to do things in a rush without really verifying many of these kind of things? Yes.
Timeliness is one of the good qualities of a story. Like, for example, for politics, things change very fast. You cannot keep a story that you're already working on, that I'm going to make it, maybe work on it still after some time. The moment you're going to publish this one, or you're going to air it, the thing have already changed. You see, especially in politics, there are so many things I'm telling you. So that's why I think journalists tend to move fast with these stories. But that does not stop you from verifying the information. Because any information you publish, because I want to be the first person to break the story, I want to be the first person where other media houses will get it from me. You publish without verifying. Maybe you do a story about maybe Bashir, and then Bashir is not even interviewed, or is not, or you do a story based on hearsay, or someone, you just went there, you observed, and then you do the story, you rush, and then you publish it. That person can even take you up. And you will have nowhere to sit back and defend yourself. Of course, this person is not in the story. First of all, it is one of the requirements when you're doing story. That is why you see who take their work very serious professionally. One story can even take them for sometimes one full day, or sometimes they can take days. Like I found I was telling here, when police says we are still investigating this, ideally you're supposed to actually wait when the official communication comes out. But that all the journalists now, for that moment, they can move ahead and publish the story because they have all other facts, and they just put the police information that they are still investigating. Yeah, but it is a different story with many. I've also seen you cannot just rush and publish story without verifying the facts. And
moreover, on your Facebook page, not even on, with the media house, maybe website and so on.
Yes,
but you use your personal Facebook channel.
And now it is even going to be worse. The Computer Misuse Act is now in place. So as a journalist, let me just put it clear that you're going to publish must be verified. So just to answer your question, why many journalists rush to publish the story, I know is to be the first to break the story, or to be like a reference when someone wants to get information. Now you say that I got it from this media house, or this Twitter handle, or this YouTube channel, or this TV station, but without the verifying information, that's journalists sometimes go wrong. And for some media houses, they take you as independent, as an individual journalist, not as a media house. That is for some media houses. If you're not lucky, some media houses will present you as Sabir, or as maybe as a Peter, as maybe as a Komaket, something like that, as individual journalists who published that story. Though it aired in the radio, or in the TV, or on the official page, as a person, not as a media house. So this goes now for, you can rush and publish the information, but make sure your facts are all there.
Okay, that is it. Making sure that you verify the information very, very well is one other solution, the easiest solution you will have. Even if Matoa comes and gets me and starts beating me and Sean, but the story I had published has all the evidence for me to even argue my case before the courts of law. And that is it, and that we should be able to learn from that. And Matoa, let me come to you again, and let's wind with this kind of this question I'm going to ask. It is going to be a general one, and all of you can be able to chip in wherever necessary. And this comes to the campaigns and up to the processes when they are almost done. What is it that can be able to do in order to avoid conflicts, okay? In order to avoid conflicts and also ensure that a successful coverage is done for both police and journalists. Maybe anyone can pick it there. Let me start with yes, Matoa, you can pick it.
What can be done so that we end this kind of altercations between police and... I will say we stick to our SOPs, our codes of conduct, when we are doing these kind of things. For police, we have a clear code of conduct during elections, during our policing activities and what have you. We ask journalists to stick to the code of conduct. Nowadays, not all journalists, as my brother had put it rightly, that rush for information that you want to be the first to break the news is what happens. When you see the code of conduct for journalists is to report or to interpret honestly with the facts, information which you get. But what does journalists do? What are journalists doing these days? Somebody has got the information, as you say, from any social media handle. The information is already there. Now that get confused every time. I want to appreciate Uganda Police Force for having a directorate or a strict way of divulging, giving information. That is through the Public Relations Office or through heads of units. you will find police does not contradict itself in most of the times. The information we give to the verified is correct, and when you ask it from the public relations officer, it is the same information you will get from the source. For example, within West Nile region, if something happens in Ikobo, you want to verify that information with the DPC there, with the PRO here, with the RPC, you will find the same information. Why is that one happening? Because we are there to our code of conduct or our procedures to give information to the community. We don't want to give wrong information to the community. We always want to give facts, information on facts. Most journalists will come to a police and say, what do you comment about this? Police don't want to give comments. They want to give you details of any information. They don't want to give the opinions, but you find the journalist coming to ask a policeman for a comment. That is not what we should be giving to people. Comments, no, not opinions. But we give facts, which is not going to cause disagreements between police and the community and another person. So let's proper ways of doing things. Some institutions you find different people. Journalists say, give a comment, give a comment. We see on social media, they contradict themselves everywhere. So that is the beauty of it. In times to come ahead, journalists, we invite them to work with police together, avoiding this kind of maybe you people call it impunity, but I don't want to call it. I want to call it disagreement. I don't want to call it impunity. I want to say small disagreements between journalists and police. Because when you say impunity, impunity is a very huge word, heavy word.
Serious word.
A serious word.
Yeah.
So police is aware that journalists are needed in the working. Please, those individuals or those isolated fightings and what have you, misconduct by police officers does not represent the entire position of the police force, and we always act upon them once they happen.
So what do you do about it? Because now if your officer is the one really spraying the paper, just because this journalist is there, he may film me in it and so on. What do you do against such an officer? Because it is actually against the law that you just start spraying me when I even don't have any conflict with you.
No, an officer who acts unprofessionally against the SOPs provided for all the briefing given for an operation is made to account. How does an officer account? Through the police disciplinary codes. Our police disciplinary codes are more functional than before. Actually, they are very strong. That is one of the strongest things to instill discipline within our life. In our forces, we take action. If that person is seen to have overused his authority, that person must be told that one of his obligations is not to use his authority for some unwanted or uncalled for aim he or she wanted to achieve. So we always take action. The disciplinary courts will act on that. Many officers have been suspended doing certain things not correctly. Many officers have appeared in police disciplinary courts for unpunished for mistreating journalists or even mistreating the community.
Okay, yeah. So we mostly hear about reasonable force. Let me hope the reasonable force may not be excessive force. Maybe Musa, what is it that we can do mutually to agree and also really make sure that generally, okay, yes.
Well, first of all, I want to appreciate the police force system, which is currently in Uganda, because they have different units. We have professional standards unit, we have the disciplinary unit, which I think goes through the professional standard units. Yes. Now I want to look at the words, the whole line ending impunity, because as I did say, many of these police officers who are taken to this channel through this line, you cannot even tell. That is for the public now. For example, maybe I am beaten as a journalist in one line of duty, and then this police officer is said to walk away. maybe the police system operates like it's going to maybe Professor Standard Eunice was acting out of the command of the line that he's supposed to, but beating me in my line of duty as a partner in actual the line of work with police. This police officer, to me, to end this, I think needs to be. You remember the court martial?
Yeah, the army courts.
You know, the court martial, the army court, which is also in the line of Uganda's court hierarchy. So just like that, you know, recent case of UPD officer who shot dead some young man. He was arraigned in the court martial in Bondo. Everything was just public. All the channels were followed. Even the media was invited to cover the whole line. I think should be there.
Just to chip in here a bit, it is the same thing with the police disciplinary courts. These are open to even journalists, to the community and whatever. For example, when some police officers misbehaved in Zombo,
yes.
A court was organized within the social center, which was attended by media, the community. That is the same way our police disciplinary courts act. A few people attend our courts. We organize courts at times in open places, at times in under shades, in some halls for trying our police officers.
Okay,
not that we want to do it behind the camera. The public is invited when they want to come and attend a disciplinary court in a case where there is public interest or the media is interested. You are welcome to attend those kind of things.
So I think, okay, maybe Musa will continue there. Mato, I'm just getting interested in that point. And if you look at many times cases that are against the police and so on, it is rare that they are brought like that. Maybe was that because those officers misbehaved and the hardcore criminals escaped, and that's why really the issue was brought like that? Because many times, even if I've maybe gone to register a case against a police officer about allegation, I've never seen this tried publicly. Yes.
What happens is many people report cases against police in discipline. The professional standards unit, we have professional standards unit in every region. Here in Western Nile, we have the professional standards unit. Many people bring complaints to professional standards unit. When they investigate these cases, they send these files to the legal directorate to sanction charges against police officers. When these files come back, we invite the same against the police officer to come and attend that court. Others come as witnesses, others come as people who come to attend the court because there is an interest.
How many times have this happened in West?
We have currently, even right now, as I leave, after leaving here, I'm going to conduct a disciplinary court of police officers. We don't do it only for officers who have done wrong. Even officers who go against our discipline, who neglect duty, who are supposed to do certain things right, they do not do them rightly, and we ourselves, we take action against them, we handle those. But particularly for those involving the community is invited to attend, but those which are internal there, mostly like neglect of duty and officers not reported on duty, the witnesses are his colleagues, and internally there, we do these things at times on weekly basis, at times monthly basis, depending on the rate at which indiscipline is being committed in a unit.
Okay,
every unit
has. Okay, thank you. Maybe Musa, you wind up. Yes.
Well, just like I was saying, the UPDF court martial, looking at the court hierarchy of Uganda, it is still in that line. Just like that, police, as Afande says, now should be very transparent. It should be public. Okay, some of these ones, I think, surely have not personally been. I don't know them so much. So that is one of the things. If you want to end impunity, there needs to be transparency. Yeah? The police officers need to be transparent. Looking now back to how the two institutions can work together. Look at police, as I did say, these two, these are co-workers actually in a better community. One bad thing in the eyes of the public is, just like I say also to police, is that the stories that journalists do, if it is against, according to them, that is a big problem now. Just like an individual, you do a story which is maybe for not for someone, but you do the facts. If the facts are against you, I don't know why people feel offended. So the advice that I give is that if you don't want to feature in the story which you call as bad story, do the right thing. That is the thing. Now, police and media relation to election, I think there's need to always have that sitting before the election time. I know it has always been happening. Electoral Commission cannot go away from here now. We have Electoral Commission, which is the mother institution. We have the police that is mandated to do many of the calm, the community, and those other things. And then media does the coverage, actually working the same thing. If you look at the structure, now we have the Electoral Commission here, needs to help so much in talking to police, bring police together, and then the media together, how they are going to work. For example, 2026 election is not so far away. To come together. These engagements should not come in 2026, January or 2025, December. It should capture. This engagement needs to start now. Police are our friends. Media is a friend to police. That's what I know. Especially for here in West Nile, at least the relation here is not so much bad compared to other regions. That's why I want to say kudos to police. But the line now here is everyone should play his role. Police, media. To my colleagues in the media industry, media fraternity, let's be professional. Then let's wait who is coming to touch you. If, as a journalist, you do the right things, you go to the right persons for the interview, you follow the right issues, and then you have all the facts, trust me, no one is going to touch you. Even the police will appreciate you when the case is even, when maybe an officer wants to do an issue, maybe an officer comes to you as an individual, you just say, you just present your facts, and even I think the line just goes, no, let's just be professional, and then we serve the community.
Okay, we are going to stop here, but let me have the last words from my guests, and I will let them go because they are going to really do their work, because these are frontliners. They need to be present on ground. So I will start with the Matua for you, and on this issue, and also maybe other things that you may say that are related to the working relations between journalists and also the security forces that we have in this country, maybe.
My final word is that we need the media needs us, meaning we need each other. We have always briefed our personnel that media is an important partner in crime prevention, and we should work together with them in harmony. Every police officer is to relate with the media professionally. I want to assure the public that there is no reason for police to sideline certain members of the community because of selfish interest. Police will always remain committed, impartial, and professional in doing their work. Come any other activities, say the 2026 elections and what have you, we shall provide security to every Ugandan, regardless of who they are, in harmony, and our motto is to our mandate protection of life and property, enforce laws, and other mandates we are to fulfill as police officers.
Okay, that is it from Matua Alfred Tokira, who is the Community Liaisons Officer, Arua Central Division. He works with Uganda Police, and that is it from him. Let's have Musa Shabir from Radio Parties.
Journalism is not a crime. That is the hashtag we have always been using on social media platforms. Of course, it will remain. Journalism is not a crime. But one thing is now to journalists, in a few seconds, is that be professional, do the right things. And also to the media house, you don't just have to leave a journalist. I know my media house is one of the media houses that puts the journalists or the staff, push them to get more information. You, as a media house, you organize internal capacity building for your journalists. You cannot do good journalism without understanding law. For example, if you deal with police or crime issues, when you're reporting these issues, you need to have the background information on your mind, like you need to have some course in the constitution. At least you can be some of these people. The media houses need to have the capacity building for their staff, not only in the newsroom, because the interaction is open. Have capacity building, and then foster that unity with other departments. Sectors like police. So police, media, they work together. They actually do the same things. Just that you need to follow your lines. Thank you.
Okay, that is it. Who have been really watching us on this discussion. We are just talking about the issues to do with crimes against journalists that are being really perpetrated, mostly in Uganda here. It is now police. Everyone knows that police has been really interfering with the activities of journalists. But we have seen that from the discussions, we could actually work together. And how do we work together? Using all those kind of points that people cited here. And I want to appreciate my panelists that you have been able to make it here, because it is not easy to talk about the issues of journalists alone when you are a journalist. It is very difficult because you may not be really objective. It is good that you have people from different sectors who are able to see you from the other side. What you are able to do wrong, they're able to actually bring it out. And that's why we had police here represented. And also one journalist who is somewhere actually from parties deliberate on some of the issues that we also do wrong, and also sometimes where we go the right direction, but people are not seeing that we're doing it rightly. And that is it. And we are letting them out now, and we'll be back after a short break and to really wind up the discussions around the Kokoliriko. So thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it.
What a finish from Fukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa. Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
commercial break. I hope you had the best of your time in the discussions that we had about the crimes against journalists, and we had a very interesting discussion with our panelists here now that they're out of the studios, and we should be able to really bring you what is happening in other departments. And to you that Uganda now has started rolling out the digital number plates, and this is one thing that every motorist or every person who is really driving a car should be able to afford right away. And for those who are getting the new number plates, you are going to really actually pay 750,000 Ugandan shillings, and those who are not really having it, you're going to pay actually 150,000 for renewal, or if you have the digital number plate that has been stolen or spoiled, you'll be able to really pay that 50,000 Ugandan shillings for those who are riding motorcycles. And this seems to be cheaper compared to the number plates that we used to acquire from URA that people used to buy for maybe motorcycles when you have maybe imported a motorcycle from DRC. I am mostly informed actually many people pay 1.5 million Ugandan shillings for new number plates that are actually not digital. These are some of the things that are coming, and we should be actually ready to have this inserted. Remember earlier on, the president of this country, that is His Excellency Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, highlighted that the Russian company is actually on ground. He has actually the minister for works and transport, that is Katumba Wamala, to ensure that this is rolled out at a terrific speed so that many people are captured, and also the security issues are sorted in this country. And that's where really we have a lot to do. Those who are really in the public, okay, people who are having these machines, will prepare those monies now, so that when the time comes for the regional rollout and also district rollout and so on, everyone should be able to acquire these number plates. And it is one thing that is there to actually solve the issues to do with the insecurity, but also to ensure that the theft of machines, the issues of abductions and so on will all be really sorted out. We have seen scenarios of vehicles being sniffed or transported or to other countries. One of the vehicles that we have up to date not really be able to get is one that is the ambulance that was actually stolen from Arua Regional Referral Hospital. This is one thing. If we had the trackers, if you had the digital number plates that are there, we will be easily getting to locate where this vehicle is. And it was speculated that this vehicle was actually taken to the neighboring countries, Republic of Congo, and yet up to now we have not seen any statement issued by police about how far they've actually gone with that investigation. And these are some of the circumstances that will be able to see that some of these kind of issues be sorted. If we have this digital number plate rolled out, if we have also people embracing it, it will be a very good achievement. Remember, there were a lot of discussions in Parliament about why the number plates, who is there to pay for that, and also who contracted actually the Russian company. And these were things that were really shaping discussions, bringing the discussions from Parliament really dragging a lot. And remember, by July we were actually supposed to start rolling out these digital number plates in the country, but because of those kind of ups and downs, issues to do with the complaints related to irregularities in the procurement processes, and then the issues to do with why it is now, okay, why it is needed much earlier now. And that those were questions that our representatives in the Parliament were not understanding, and that's why really this rollout was dragging behind. And now that officially, yesterday it was launched, we expect that this should be able to be disseminated to all our regions. We have in Uganda, and this really need that kind of service. So we hope, just like any other activity in Uganda, there should be regional offices to help people in doing this kind of thing. We have seen that government also went ahead to streamline the issues of security surveillance through inserting CCTV cameras and so on, and in the main town centers. Could this or tagged to the same purpose? Can we be able to fix the tags behind the people who are actually stealing these vehicles, the people who are killing many of our senior persons in this country? Can we be able to fish them out through this system? That is one thing we'll really be able to understand from that technology. The senior persons are yet to bring this to the public and also really share or sensitize the public about it. And we hope these engagements should be able to reach to every Ugandan, because we have so many people on the road who are using motorcycles, so many people who have bought vehicles for personal use, and they are not really professional enough in driving some of these kind of cars. We have seen people causing accidents, but after a short while they take off, and those are things we will be able to track. You commit a crime, be traced, and I hope the processes of following up will be expedited, not like the way that they are still waiting for the search engine engineer, the people who are behind the car, the monitoring and so on. They are still not around. We're waiting for them. Those processes that drag a lot in terms of investigations can also kill of efforts to really ensure that we have really the country secure. And we have seen so many scenarios of accidents on the roads, but you find numberless motorcycles, numberless vehicles committing these kind of things. We have seen situations during by-elections, vehicles that attempt to be drones, they are described to be drones, coming to pick people unscrupulously, and you don't know where they are going with people. The cases of abductions need to be minimized if we can do this, and also the issues of human trafficking curtailed. If we are serious about the issues of security, if you are serious looking for that preventive measure to some of these remedies through these digital number plates, and that is it. And I will be really glad if this is rolled at a cheaper cost, or if a promotion is brought for the rural poor, because that 700 something thousand Ugandan shillings is quite expensive. Motorcyclists, because many times people have bought motorcycles with number plates from URA, from elsewhere. Now a motorcycle costs between 5 million to 6 million, and you have spent all these monies, you have not gotten any coin from it, and that means you may be limited. Maybe I don't know how they will be, and also how people will be able to pay. If it is allowed to be paid in phases, maybe in first phase you pay, second phase you pay, you're given another time to look for another money, it could be very fair to the rural poor, really, because if people want to be catered for, and if you want to really make sure that every Ugandan acquires this kind of thing, because there are some people who bought their machines not for businesses, because they are not making money out of them. They are using them as transport to go for work and so on. That should be one thing we should be looking at as a country. But government is also rolling out a new method of dealing with malaria, and this is really by spraying and so on, and they have discovered another method, and this is one good story that is coming on the side of health, and we should be able to be ready to adapt to these new changes, and not like the recent inter-residual spray that was done a few years ago. People only actually saw the sign of the effectiveness of the medicines in a few days or in a few months, and thereafter malaria cases shot up that was one unfortunate thing. But we should be glad that innovations have taken over in Uganda, and there are innovations that are tailored towards development, and that's why you see a lot of developments coming up. We have some motorcycles being made out of wood, and people put generators behind it, and others put lighting systems like solar powered motorcycles already being manufactured in Uganda. We have seen art and craft industry trying to move further than the scientific innovations. So we should that the artisans are actually doing enough, a lot of innovations in this country. For instance, also those who are making cars, those who are already making motorcycles and so on in this country. In a short while, you'll see Uganda also making aeroplanes here within the country, and that is the beauty of the Pearl of Africa. That is our country, which is Uganda, and these innovations come with motivation, because if you are able to appreciate the little that citizens are doing and so on, see those kind of things going further and further, and that means our economy is growing. And that's why you saw our Minister for Finance, Matia Kazaza, says the economy is now growing. It's going sweet. And that marks it at the end of the Kokoliriko show for the Thursday edition. That is the second day of November 2023. I hope you had the best of your time with me here on this show. And behind the camera, I have Dijon Pro, who is there. Done the wonderful job today amidst all this rain in the morning that was here in West Nile that we're experiencing in Arua City. We have been able to catch it live there, and you were really actually brought to this show by Aldo, the producer, who is behind the control room and behind the writings. And remember, there is a lot these guys can do extra beyond what we are doing. You can be able to reach to them and really see that your event is covered live and show on many things you are able to really get at your convenience, because the quality they produce is that genuine one. Up next, we'll be having actually the news in Lobarati that is called the Eyolas, which will be brought to you by Feta Emmanuel, and also behind that production of the news is the main man Farish Matit, who is there, the editor 24/7. Thank you very much. We'll meet again tomorrow for this week. That is for Kokoliriko Live.